The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, which was triggered by a surprise attack on Saturday, represents the latest chapter in a protracted history of warfare and strife between Israelis and Palestinians that has involved external actors and caused instability in the broader Middle East. This conflict revolves around Israel's insistence on maintaining its security in a historically hostile environment, and the Palestinian desire to establish their own independent state. The roots of this tension can be traced back to May 14, 1948, when David Ben-Gurion, a key figure in Israel's founding, officially declared the establishment of the modern State of Israel. This move aimed to provide a sanctuary for Jews escaping persecution and seeking a national homeland on a territory they considered deeply connected to their heritage over generations. For a comprehensive understanding of the Israel-Palestine conflict, here are 10 key things to know based on provided evidence. 10. Human Partition Plan. The United Nations Partition Plan in 1947 was a significant moment in the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The proposal aimed to address the escalating tensions by dividing the land into two separate states, one for Jews and the other for Arabs. This seemed like a reasonable solution to end the ongoing conflict. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan, seeing it as an opportunity to establish a homeland for Jewish people. However, the Arab leadership rejected the proposal and chose instead to initiate a war to oppose the partition. This marked a critical turning point in the conflict, leading to decades of strife and hostility. 9. Historical Jewish presence. The historical Jewish presence in the land of Israel has deep roots that predate the modern Zionist movement. Long before the emergence of Zionism, Jews had been living in the region. This historical connection to the land is often cited by supporters of Israel as a key justification for the establishment of the Jewish state. Even in the 19th century, before the formal establishment of the State of Israel, there were significant Jewish communities in the region, especially in cities like Jerusalem. In 1870, for instance, there were more Jews in Jerusalem than Muslims, which underscores the enduring Jewish presence in the area. 8. Not compensation for Holocaust. A common misconception is that the establishment of the State of Israel was primarily a response to the Holocaust and a form of compensation for the atrocities committed during World War II. However, the truth is more nuanced. While the Holocaust was a horrific event that deeply affected the Jewish people and garnered international sympathy, the establishment of Israel was not a direct compensation for these events. Rather, it was influenced by the broader geopolitical changes following World War II. 7. History of Jews in Arab countries. The history of Jews in Arab countries is a complex and often overlooked aspect of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Contrary to the common perception that Jews and Arabs lived together peacefully in these regions before the advent of Zionism, historical records reveal a different reality. While there were periods of coexistence, there were also significant challenges faced by Jewish communities. Discrimination, pogroms, and racial violence were not uncommon, making it important to acknowledge the difficult conditions many Jews experienced in these countries. The history of Jews in Arab lands is marked by both moments of harmony and periods of hardship, which add depth to the overall understanding of the conflict. 6. Origins of names. The name Palestine carries a long history and has been associated with various regions and peoples over the centuries. The Romans officially named the land Judea after suppressing a Jewish revolt in 132 AD, effectively changing the name of the region. This name change was a part of the Roman strategy to eradicate Jewish identity. The name Palestine was derived from the ancient term Philistines, who were an ancient Mediterranean people. The name Palestine subsequently spread through European languages, becoming associated with the region. Understanding the historical origins of the name helps clarify that it was not originally associated with a specific national or ethnic identity, but rather referred to a geographic region. This is important when discussing claims and counterclaims in the Israel-Palestine conflict, as it underscores the complex history of the area and the multiple identities and historical ties to the land. 5. Palestinian refugees. The issue of Palestinian refugees is a central and contentious aspect of the Israel-Palestine conflict. In 1948, during the Arab-Israeli War, a significant number of Arab Palestinians left their homes. It is important to note that this displacement resulted from a combination of factors, including military conflict, acts of war, and the instructions of Arab leadership. Some Arab leaders encouraged Palestinians to leave their homes temporarily, with the promise that they could return once the conflict was resolved. Unfortunately, this did not come to pass, and many Palestinians were unable to return. It is also essential to highlight that while there is extensive attention on Palestinian refugees, the issue of Jewish refugees from Arab countries is often overlooked. Approximately 800,000 Jews fled or were expelled from Arab countries during the same period. These Jewish refugees faced various challenges in their new lives and contributed significantly to the establishment of Israel. Understanding the complexities and narratives of both Palestinian and Jewish refugees is crucial for a more comprehensive view of the conflict's human impact and historical context. 4. The right of return. The right of return is a highly contentious and complex aspect of the Israel-Palestine conflict. It is a concept that suggests that Palestinian refugees and their descendants have the right to return to their ancestral homes and land in what is now Israel. While this idea is deeply rooted in Palestinian narratives and aspirations, it presents significant challenges to resolving the conflict. If universally applied, it would create complex dynamics and practical issues. Implementing the right of return would entail the return of a significant number of Palestinian refugees and their descendants to lands now occupied by Israelis. This could potentially alter the demographic balance and raise questions about the status and rights of Jewish residents in those areas. The practical challenges of implementing this right, including determining eligibility and property claims, are formidable. As a result, the right of return is one of the most contentious and difficult issues in negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. 3. Freedom to complain. The ability of Palestinians to openly criticize Israel and its policies, including in the media and public discourse, is notable and sets it apart from many other countries in the Middle East. While the Israel-Palestine conflict is a deeply divisive issue, it's essential to recognize that within Israel, there is a vibrant democracy with freedom of speech and a diverse range of voices, including those critical of government policies. Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, as well as in Israel itself, have outlets for expressing their grievances, and they often use this freedom to draw international attention to their cause. In contrast, many Middle Eastern countries, particularly autocratic regimes, severely restrict freedom of expression and dissent. Criticizing government policies or advocating for political change in these countries can result in severe consequences, including imprisonment and even violence. This stark contrast underscores the complexities of the Israel-Palestine conflict, where differing levels of political freedom and human rights are at play throughout the region. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for a more comprehensive view of the conflict and its broader context. 2. Casualties in the conflict. The number of casualties in the Israel-Palestine conflict is a critical aspect that often garners significant attention. From 1948 to the present, it is estimated that there have been around 20,000 Palestinian casualties. It's important to note that within this number, a significant portion consists of combatants, including members of armed groups engaged in the conflict. While every casualty is tragic, understanding the composition of these casualties is essential to gain a more accurate picture of the impact of the conflict on the civilian population. Comparatively, the Israel-Palestine conflict, while deeply significant and protracted, has seen fewer casualties than many other conflicts in the broader Middle East. This is not to minimize the human toll or suffering in the region, but to provide a perspective on the scale of violence in the context of the Middle East, where several conflicts have led to much higher casualty figures. These statistics underscore the need to consider the conflict in its regional context and acknowledge the diverse array of conflicts and their impacts on the people of the Middle East. 1. Israel's place in the Middle East. Understanding Israel's role in the Middle East is fundamental to grasping the dynamics of the Israel-Palestine conflict within the broader regional context. Israel is a relatively small nation in terms of both geography and population in the Middle East. While it is often a focal point of international attention, it plays a relatively minor role in the larger conflicts that have occurred among various Arab nations in the region. Throughout the Middle East's history, There have been numerous significant conflicts, such as the Iran-Iraq War, the Lebanese Civil War, and various inter-Arab conflicts. These conflicts have had profound consequences for the people of the Middle East and have sometimes overshadowed the Israel-Palestine conflict. Recognizing Israel's scale and its regional context is vital for a comprehensive understanding of the complex dynamics in the region. Both of these points help provide a more balanced perspective on the Israel-Palestine conflict by placing it in the context of the wider Middle East and highlighting the varying degrees of impact and violence seen in different regional conflicts. All right guys, that wraps up our video for today. If you found this video useful, please do well to give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more.